Hey guys, welcome back to Fiction Friday. I'm AJ Freese, and this week I'm going to be reviewing Minutes Before Sunset by Shannon A. Thompson. Now this book is pretty new to me because I normally don't read young adult fiction, especially paranormal romance young adult fiction. I really don't read young adult with the exception of Looking for Alaska and First Love by James Patterson. But you know this book is very different for me, but it's unlike any young adult novel, like especially the first two that I mentioned that I've read, and it's very different from what I've heard young adult fiction is like. This isn't about two characters who've loved each other but don't want to tell each other that they love each other, and then they do get together, go on a road trip, and die of cancer. It's nothing like that. This book is very much different, and I am very happy about that because it takes a spin on the young adult genre and takes it to a new level, because this is about two characters, Eric Wellborn, who isn't exactly human. He's considered dark. He's part of the dark faction, which I'll get more into what the factions are a little bit later, but he's part of the dark. And when his dark side, Showman, which I hope I pronounced that right, and I'm really sorry if I mispronounced that, but when he's dark, he's got these powers because he's training as the first descendant. He's the first descendant, and as the prophecy mentions, he's going to have to fight this major battle against the light. So he has to pretty much hold up this standard and train as himself. And while he's training, he discovers this unnamed shade that he takes a liking to, and not like romantic, he takes a liking to because he notices something about her that kind of reminds him of himself, which then he learns she's a little bit too powerful to just be a regular shade, which I'm not going to go into who she is because that would be a major spoiler. This book, I can't say too much because it would spoil too much, because this is a trilogy, and this is book one of the trilogy. So back to the synopsis is, on the other side, the other character, Jessica Taylor, is coming back to Hayworth to discover who her family is. So if you look at it this way, there are two mysteries. First, Showman trying to discover who this unnamed shade is, and then there's Jessica Taylor trying to discover who her family is. Because she knows that she's adopted, she knows that something happened to her family, and she wants to get to the bottom of it. She wants to find who her biological family is at any cost. So she kind of makes a deal with her parents. Listen, I keep up my grades, I do well in school this semester, you let me find my parents. So she goes out and she's looking for her family and trying to track down who her family is, all while keeping up her schoolwork. Now in school, since this is a small town, her and Eric are put together. Jessica and Eric come together, and nobody knows about Eric's dark side, because that's that's like his secret. He has that, and that's his own. There's these light, dark things that's away from what the public would know. So Eric and Jessica are put together, and they have to work together on a school project. And this one part is extremely relatable because being in college, just kind of graduating high school not 4 years ago, you could relate to this, because there's that one person in the group who kind of is surprising, but that will do work, but kind of just doesn't seem like he wants to do work. He wants nothing to do with it, which I think is really cool, because a lot of this is super relatable to how high school is and college is, even because you have the same people that transfer over. The people don't change going in from high school to college. Some do, but for the most part, you have that one person that doesn't seem interested at all and just doesn't do work. So she's trying to break him. That's, I guess, another one of her mysteries, along with trying to find who her biological family is trying to understand how Eric ticks. What makes Eric do the things he does, and why he seems so strange to like her group of friends. And she's kind of the new kid in town. She's already got her group of friends that just kind of click to her automatically, which could be foreshadowing. I've only read book one, but for me, it kind of threw up a red flag. But we'll see. I'm not going to share any other thoughts on that or any possibilities. But so Jessica, like, her second mystery now on top of her family is figuring out Eric and trying to get him to work with her. He's like, come on, help me work. Like, I have to pass school, because she has her other motive on finding her parents. And Eric is just focused, which, this is, I guess, classic hero or kind of anti-hero, since he's kind of pushing off some people in his life, in his true life, in his human life, rather. He's pushing them off to work on himself, which I think that theme, working on yourself, is kind of prevalent, and especially with Eric, because he wants to train himself to win, but at the same time, he's trying to figure out who this unnamed shade is, keep her protected from the dark, because he knows that if he brings her to them, at least this is what he thinks, they will kill her. And he doesn't want that to happen because she's powerful. He's like, well, if I could use her in this main battle, what can I do? You know, and he figures this out early on. He's like, she's powerful. What can I do? And so he's trying to figure out his own mysteries, trying to, you know, protect himself, and she's trying to figure out Eric and her family. And going back to, as I said earlier, with the factions, there's the light and the dark. Now, these are two different sides, and as I like to think of them, is a kind of a balance. You have your light and what they are. And for me, this is how I viewed it. The light are the bad guys, and the dark are the good guys. That's how I pictured it in this book. I could be wrong. You guys can interpret this a little bit differently. The intent could be a little bit differently. They actually might not even have a good or bad side. It might be reversed, but we're just looking at it, through this book at least, from the dark's perspective, which I really do like Eric as a character. He does have a couple anti-hero characteristics, while also having many good hero characteristics. So, going back, you have the light and the dark, which is kind of almost like a yin and yang kind of thing, because they balance each other out. You have, they're both trying to hide, but they're both have their own motives. They balance each other out. They're doing their own thing, but we don't really hear much from the light. I mean, you have Showman's guardian, as they call her, or guard, I think, where she is like half shade, half light, which, you know, that's the only real light you hear from throughout this book. So, and I think that's really interesting. But for the most part, what really I liked about this book, and I give this book a 4.5 stars. Now, I would give this a 5, but this is part of a trilogy, so I'm not going to give it a full 5, because this is one of my favorite books, actually. This is definitely added onto my list of favorites. But I can't give it a full 5 stars for the simple reason is there's 3 more books. So I'm going to give this a 4.5 because there are 2 more books to finish the whole series. And at the end, when I do get the 3rd book, I will give the overall series a rating as well. So this book gets a 4.5 because it leaves you very suspensed. At the end, the ending is very satisfying, because you wrap up what's going on in this book, but it leaves you knowing that there's more to come. It's not like, well, okay, this is what happens. They're going to have, you know, no, you don't know what's going to happen in the next book, because she changes it. Shannon A. Thompson does an amazing job with leaving you on such a cliffhanger that it's not frustrating, but it's not frustrating at all, because it leaves you on a very nice cliffhanger. Like, there are some books that just, you know, this is actually one of my first trilogies that I've ever read. But she leaves you on such a cliffhanger that it's like, okay, you're happy with how the book ended, but at the same time, you know there's more to come, and there's even more exciting things to come, because you don't know what's going to happen in book 2. It's very unpredictable, and that's one thing I love about this book. It's unpredictable. You don't know who's hiding, because, as I was saying, the dark hides themselves in a human form, and the light hides themselves in a human form. So you don't know who's who. Your enemy could be anyone. Your best friend could be your enemy in this book, which is kind of a true theme here. I mean, we become friends with people, and then suddenly they change into somebody else, and I think that's extremely relatable, even though that might not even be an intended theme, but I think that's really cool how she writes that in there. I love her descriptions of each character. Their character is extremely relatable, because we're not too much older than, you know, I mean, I'm not too much older than these characters. I mean, I'm in college, but still, I relate to these characters extremely well, especially, you know, I don't have like a specific character I relate to because they're very different from me. But, you know, you might be able to sympathize with them and like feel how they're feeling or understand how they're feeling. Now, when it comes to romance, there are some hints of romance throughout the book, but it's not like I was saying with the cliche novels where it's just like there's that one character that's secretly like in love with the main character and they don't want to say anything, or they've been in love but they're too afraid to be in love. There's none of that throughout this book, and I love that about this. Shannon A. Thompson writes an amazing novel. I definitely recommend picking up Minutes Before Sunset. You definitely have to order this one online. It's rare in bookstores, but this is one of my new favorite novels. I am super excited to read the other 2 books, which I don't want to mess up the titles, because for a while I was actually calling this Minutes to Midnight, which is an Iron Maiden song, but this has nothing to do with that. I'm awfully sorry for mixing up the title, but this book, Minutes Before Sunset, extremely interesting, extremely different from what that I've heard of young adult novels as paranormal romance. It's It's incredible. I definitely recommend it. I hope you guys enjoy it. Pick it up. If you guys have any recommendations for any books that I should read, leave them in the comments below or message me through my website, which is in the link in the description below. So guys, let me know what you think. If you guys have read this book, share your thoughts with me. I'd love to, talk thoughts. I hope you guys enjoy it. If you guys have any recommendations, you guys know what to do. And thank you. Alright guys, I have another really big announcement, and this one I am super excited for because on November 26th from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. I'll be taking part in the 529 Arts Avenue Creative Space Holiday Showcase. Now it's my first ever showcase, and I'll be showing off and reading probably chapter 1 of my novel Through the Border Gates. And I am really excited because this is their first showcase and this is my first showcase, and I have all the information on my Facebook, my Twitter, and my website. And if you have any questions, definitely check the links down below. You can definitely ask me on any of the social media, and I'll gladly answer. I hope you guys can all come. I'll probably post an event or just share the 529 Arts Avenue's event to the Facebook page and the Twitter. So as soon as I have all that information up, I'm still waiting on getting a whole bunch of information from them. So as soon as I get it, I'll send it on to you guys, and you guys just let me know if you guys are going to come. I'm going to be selling novels, signing them. This is going to be all advanced copies because if you guys have checked the Facebook, I have a new banner up, and it's not going to be dropped until January 23rd in hardcover copies. So I'm definitely excited for this, and I hope you guys are too. Definitely let me know if you guys are coming. The links are down below, and I hope to see you there. Thank you.